The first sign of annihilation was a tremor, a subtle shiver in the ground. Then the sky, once a tranquil blue, erupted in fiery chaos.
Oh no, what is happening?
Anya watched in horror as monstrous vessels descended from the heavens, their hulls shimmering with an eerie, otherworldly luminescence. They rained down fire and destruction, obliterating everything in their path. Buildings crumbled, swallowed by roaring flames. Panic-stricken screams filled the air, only to be cut short by the deafening explosions. Anya's world, her life, reduced to a smoldering ruin before her very eyes. The air choked her, thick with smoke and the stench of death.
I have to get out of here, but where can I go?
She ran, her lungs burning, her heart pounding against her ribs like a frantic bird. But there was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The invaders were relentless, their assault swift and merciless. As the fiery apocalypse consumed her home, Anya knew one thing with chilling certainty. She was witnessing the end of her world. Days turned into weeks, the once vibrant planet now a desolate wasteland. The skies, once filled with the songs of birds and the hum of life, were now silent, a heavy blanket of despair covering the land. The sun rose and set, casting long shadows over the skeletal remains of what was once a thriving world. Anya, her clothes torn and her spirit broken, wandered aimlessly through the skeletal remains of her city. Each step she took echoed with the memories of laughter, love, and life that once filled these streets. Now, only the wind whispered through the ruins, a mournful song of what had been lost. She was a ghost haunting the ruins of her past. Every corner she turned, every building she passed, was a reminder of the life that had been stolen from her. The faces of loved ones, now gone, haunted her every waking moment, their absence a gaping wound in her heart. Hunger gnawed at her belly, and thirst parched her throat, but it was the crushing weight of her loneliness that threatened to consume her. The emptiness around her mirrored the emptiness within, a void that seemed impossible to fill. She longed for a touch, a voice, a sign that she was not the last soul left in this forsaken world.
Is there anyone left? Anyone at all? Her voice echoed back to her, a hollow sound that only deepened her sense of isolation. The silence that followed was deafening, a stark reminder of her solitude.
One day, amidst the ashes and debris, she stumbled upon a single unburnt feather. It lay there, pristine and untouched, a stark contrast to the devastation that surrounded it. It was as if the universe had left her a message, a small token of hope in a sea of despair. It was white, impossibly pure against the backdrop of destruction. The feather seemed to glow with an inner light, a beacon in the darkness that had become her world. It was a symbol of something greater, something beyond the pain and suffering she had endured. Holding it in her hand, she felt a flicker of hope, a whisper of something beyond the desolation. The feather was delicate, yet it held a strength that resonated within her. It was a reminder that even in the darkest times, there is still beauty, still hope. It was a sign, she dared to believe, that she was not alone. The feather was a promise, a silent vow that there was still something worth fighting for. It gave her the strength to keep moving, to keep searching for answers.
This means something. It has to, she whispered to herself, clutching the feather tightly. It was a lifeline, a connection to a world that still held secrets and mysteries waiting to be uncovered.
Clutching the feather, she vowed to survive. She would not let the darkness consume her. She would find the strength to rebuild, to reclaim what had been lost. The feather was her guide, her symbol of resilience. She would find out who was responsible for this devastation, who had ripped away everything she held dear. The feather was a clue, a piece of the puzzle that she was determined to solve, who had ripped away everything she held dear. The tears she shed were not just for her loss, but for the world that had been shattered. She cried for the memories, for the people, for the life that had been stolen from her. Driven by a potent blend of grief and newfound determination, Anya began her journey, a solitary figure against the backdrop of a shattered world. Each step she took was a step towards uncovering the truth, towards finding a way to heal the wounds of her broken world. Anya began her journey, a solitary figure against the backdrop of a shattered world. The road ahead was long and fraught with danger, but she was no longer afraid. With the feather as her guide, she would find a way to bring light back into the darkness. Salvation came in the form of a derelict spaceship, half buried in the rubble on the outskirts of a destroyed spaceport. The once bustling hub of interstellar travel now lay in ruins, a testament to the devastation that had swept across the planet. It was a long shot, but Anya, armed with nothing but her desperation and a sliver of hope, worked tirelessly. She scavenged parts from other wrecks, her hands becoming calloused and her mind focused on a singular goal. After countless hours of labor, she managed to bring the ancient vessel back to life. The ship's systems flickered and hummed, a sign that her efforts were not in vain. With a shuddering roar, the ship tore free from the planet's gravitational pull, its engines straining but holding steady. The ground below receded, and the desolate landscape became a distant memory, leaving behind the ashes of her past. The memories of her lost home and loved ones weighed heavily on her heart, but she knew she had to move forward.
I can't believe it. I'm actually out here. The vastness of space stretched out before her, a canvas of endless possibilities and unknown dangers.
Space was vast and unforgiving, a realm where only the strong and the resourceful could survive. It was a place where the rules of the old world no longer applied, a cold, silent void sprinkled with the distant light of a million stars. Each star represented a potential new beginning, a chance to rebuild and find solace. Anya, alone in the cockpit, found a strange solace in its vastness. The quiet allowed her to reflect on her journey and the challenges that lay ahead. It mirrored the emptiness within her, a void that could only be filled by finding answers and seeking justice for her fallen world. The gaping wound left by the loss of her home and everyone she had ever known. The faces of her loved ones haunted her, their voices echoing in her mind.
I have to keep going. No matter how difficult the journey, she knew she couldn't give up. I have to find them. The ones responsible for the destruction of her world had to be held accountable.
She spent her days learning the intricacies of the ship, mastering its controls and systems. Each new discovery brought her closer to understanding the vessel's full potential. Her nights haunted by nightmares of fire and destruction. The memories of the attack replayed in her mind, a constant reminder of her mission. Guided by the faint signals emanating from distant galaxies, she followed the trail of clues that might lead her to the culprits. She charted a course, her heart set on a single purpose: to find the ones responsible for her world's annihilation. Each plotted point on the map brought her closer to her goal: to find the ones responsible for her world's annihilation. The journey was long and fraught with danger, but Anya's resolve never wavered. Anya was determined to make them pay, to bring justice to her fallen world. She knew that the path ahead would be perilous, but she was ready to face whatever challenges came her way, even if it was the last thing she ever did. With a deep breath, she steeled herself for the journey ahead, knowing that her quest for vengeance was just beginning. Her search led her to the heart of a vast interstellar empire, a sprawling dominion ruled by a race known as the Krell. They were a formidable species, their technology unmatched, their ruthlessness renowned throughout the galaxies. The Krell had built their empire on the ashes of countless civilizations, their conquests leaving a trail of destruction and despair. Their cities were marvels of engineering, with towering spires that seemed to pierce the heavens and energy fields that pulsed with an almost sentient glow. The Krell's influence extended far and wide, their reach seemingly limitless. At their helm was Kalen, the Emperor, a figure shrouded in mystery and whispered to be the architect of countless planetary conquests. Kalen was more than just a ruler. He was a symbol of the Krell's might and ambition. His presence was felt in every corner of the empire, his will shaping the destiny of entire worlds. Stories of his exploits were told in hushed tones, his name evoking both fear and awe. He was a master strategist, a visionary leader whose plans spanned decades, if not centuries.
This is it. The Krell capital. I have to be careful. Every step I take could be my last. The city is a labyrinth of secrets and dangers, and I must navigate it with utmost caution.
Anya infiltrated the Krell capital, a glittering metropolis of towering spires and pulsating energy fields, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and anticipation. Dressed in the guise of a merchant, she gathered information, piecing together the puzzle of the Krell's brutal expansion. The city was a hive of activity, with merchants, soldiers, and citizens going about their daily lives, seemingly oblivious to the horrors their empire had wrought. Anya moved through the crowded streets, her eyes and ears open, absorbing every detail. She visited markets, taverns, and places of worship, each location offering a piece of the larger picture. And as she delved deeper, she uncovered the chilling truth behind her own planet's destruction. The Krell had not just conquered her world, they had obliterated it, leaving nothing but ruins and memories. The data she found was damning. revealing the cold, calculated nature of the Krell's expansion. They saw themselves as the rightful rulers of the galaxy, their superiority justifying their actions. Anya's heart ached with the weight of this knowledge, but it also steeled her resolve. She knew now that her mission was not just about revenge, it was about justice.
The conquest was necessary. The weak must make way for the strong. This was the Krell's creed, their justification for the atrocities they committed. Kalen's voice echoed through the halls of power, his words a chilling reminder of the Empire's ruthless philosophy. He spoke of destiny, of the Krell's divine right to rule, and his followers listened with fervent devotion.
It was Kalen, the enigmatic emperor, who had ordered the attack. A wave of nausea washed over Anya as she realized the magnitude of her enemy. Kalen was not just a distant figure. He was the architect of her planet's annihilation. His face, projected in holographic form, was a constant reminder of the pain and loss she had endured. But this revelation also fueled her determination. She knew that confronting Kalen was the only way to bring an end to the Krell's reign of terror. He wasn't just a leader, he was a force of nature, a being of immense power and chilling ambition. But Anya refused to back down. She had come too far, lost too much. Her journey had been long and arduous, filled with danger and sacrifice. She had seen friends fall and allies betray her, but through it all, she had remained steadfast. The thought of facing Kalen was daunting, but it was also exhilarating. She knew that this confrontation would be the ultimate test of her strength and resolve.
I will face you, Kalen. I will make you pay, even if it means staring death in the face. This is my destiny, my purpose. I will not falter. I will not fail. The time has come to end this nightmare.
She would face Kalen, even if it meant staring death in the face. The final confrontation was inevitable, and Anya was ready. She had prepared for this moment, honing her skills and sharpening her mind. The fate of countless worlds hung in the balance, and she was determined to tip the scales in favor of justice. The path ahead was fraught with peril, but Anya's resolve was unbreakable. She would confront the architect of annihilation and bring an end to his reign, no matter the cost.